So in this chapter, we're going to be examining the very basic but very important concept of culture. We'll start out discussing what it is, and then we'll think a little bit about how it's created and perpetuated in society.
In general, when we talk about culture, we're talking about the general characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and art. Culture can also be thought of as a shared pattern of behaviors and interactions. They're the cognitive constructs and understanding that are learned by socialization. Thus, it can be seen as the growth of a group identity fostered by social patterns unique to that group. Culture encompasses religion, food, what we wear, how we wear it, our language, marriage, music, what we believe is right or wrong, how we sit at the table, how we greet visitors, how we behave with loved ones, and a million other things. It's essentially how we understand and do our social world. When researchers talk about cultural relativism, they're referring to the tendency of people to think that their beliefs, their customs, their ethics, that they're correct, and not realize that they're relative to the individual within his own social context. In other words, right and wrong are culture-specific. What is considered moral in one society may be considered immoral in another, and since no universal standard of morality exists, no one has the right to judge another society's customs. So when we think about culture, we can assume that our own cultures are seen to be the norm, or what's natural. It's just the way our society is, and when we're raised within that culture, we can't think of what might be different. And culture lives within us. It's who we are. And culture's significance is profound. It touches almost every aspect of who and what we are. We aren't born believing anything in particular, thinking any one way is right or wrong, without a language or any types of customs or norms. But yet, through the socialization process, we all have acquired culture. We act, and we speak, and we dress, and behave certain ways, and for the most part, take these things for granted. Sociologists call this the culture within us. So culture becomes a lens for seeing the world, and it's a lens that we don't very often examine. And if suddenly transported to a completely different culture, we can experience what's known as culture shock. There's also a term for thinking that your own culture is the right way, or the only normal way of doing things, and this is called ethnocentrism. So if we were to think some more about the concept of cultural relativism, that we tend to use our own culture as a standard by which to judge other cultures, we might start to see how powerful our own socialization process and acculturation is. The example used in the text was bullfighting, which in our culture does not have the same significance as it does in Spanish culture. Another way of understanding cultural relativism is through standards of beauty. They change over time within cultures and are different between cultures. To believe that fair skin, silky hair, tall and slender is a thing of beauty is a typical American norm and completely culturally relative. At a different time in U.S. society, to be fair-skinned and slender might be thought of as sickly. Standards of beauty vary so greatly from one culture to another that what one group finds attractive, another may not. Yet in its ethnocentrism, each group thinks that its standards are the best, that the appearance reflect what beauty really is. Food is highly cultural. Asians think that the idea of fermented milk, meaning cheese, is disgusting, even though fermented soy products is a regular staple. Would you eat grilled guinea pig? Why or why not? Grilled squirrel? I have a friend that is a hunting aficionado who eats it all the time. What about rabbit? So why do we have these culinary norms?